Well, to those that just arrived in our room, good morning again, and I hope you all are well. It's a beautiful day in London. We don't have sun very often, so it's a blessing to be like that today. And remind you all that this is not a lecture, this is a study. Please feel free to make questions, to open your mic, to talk to us, because that will make our study better, okay? Let's start today. We stopped in this sentence here. Prejudices, it would be useless to proceed. So we will continue from this point. It would be like trying to demonstrate the properties of the light to a blind person who does not believe in the existence of light. For the spirit manifestation are in fact only a fact of the property of the soul. Thus, if we do not want to waste our time with our conversation partner, we will need to pursue another course of idea. By accepting the basic principles, not only a probability, but as a proven, undeniable fact, then the existence of spirits will be natural result. We mentioned briefly that subject last Saturday, but basically what Kardec is telling us here is that how can we convince anyone that does not have the minimum concept or is not prepared to accept a possibility? If we try to do so, we are basically wasting our time, wasting our energy. And that's not the goal of Spiritism. Spiritism does not exist to convince anyone of anything. Spiritism exists to bring answers to questions that we could not find answers elsewhere. So, hi, Emily, how are you doing?
Hi, hello. Maybe I'm wrong, but somehow I think we read through this already last week.
Yeah, we did. I'm just reading a little bit more this same, just to give us a bit of context to move to the item 5.
Okay.
All right, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Don't hesitate, okay? Because, hold on.
Yeah, we did move through the other chat. Yeah, we got there.
We are in the page 36. Yeah, second page.
Number
yes.
9.
Well, for some reason, I did not say where it was.
Yeah, it's here.
Nevertheless, the item number 8?
9.
Okay, because did not mark it, so sorry for that. But anyway, it's good to remember what we studied before. If the fact of the phenomenon is proven, they will say, then we will accept it, and we will even accept the cause you attribute to it, i.e. a known fluid. But who can prove that spirits are involved? That is what is extraordinary and supernatural.
Can I just do a comment? The phrase that you are reading just before was saying that in the occurrence of everything, the existence of experience, the spirits should be something natural, and yeah, it's just something interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is, isn't it? Has to be natural. What are we? You know, we are spirits, so it has to be natural. But if you do not believe, we have to make lots of questions to ourselves to try to understand things that not even science can explain. But yeah, good point. Kardec is talking here on the item 9 about fluid, right? Fluid is something that we should pay a little bit of time to understand how we work, how that works, because mediumship is based in the connection, perispirit to perispirit, energy, fluid. So as we move along, we will study a little bit more about that. But there isn't a lot of books that I know that speak about it. There is one that I have left in Brazil that brings a lot of concepts about fluid that would be very interesting if I had it here, but I do not at the moment. So carrying on, to meet this objection, a full demonstration of the phenomenon would be necessary, which of course would not be plausible here. Besides, it would comprise a redundancy, since the phenomenon is emphasized in every other aspect of the teaching. There is something, right? I know people that even when they were exposed to the phenomena, when they participate in meetings, when they saw things by their own eyes, they could not believe. So what about us? Do we have to see something to believe? What if we don't see anything? Does it mean that it does not exist? So it is a question that's not easy to answer. But Jesus said that praise those that believe without seeing. So it's always a question that I have in my mind. Nevertheless, in order to sum it up in few words, we will state that the phenomenon is theoretically based upon the principle. Every intelligent effect must have an intelligent cause. And this is what Kardec used to start his work. When he acknowledged that there was something happening on the turntables around Paris, one of the first things he said was, must have an intelligent cause. A table could not answer a question, right? So that was one of the things that drove Kardec to start his research. In practice, this means that concerning the observation of so-called spirits phenomena, having given evidence of an intelligence whose cause could not have originated in the matter, that this intelligence did not originate with the observers themselves. A fact that was proven from the experiments themselves, but had to be independent of them, and that since the being who produced them could not be seen, this intelligence had to be regarded as an invisible being. Despite that he was not able to see anything, he was not able to prove anything at the time, right? He always said there was something intelligent behind what he was exposed. Many mediums, they doubt about themselves, especially in the beginning. But how could I know such a thing? If I don't know how to speak German, how can I speak in German? If I do not know physics, how can I elaborate a test explaining the quantum physics? I could not. So we always have to consider that it's more than what we know, and allow ourselves to go through the process to understanding slowly and step by step what a mediumship is. Thus, proceeding from one observation to the next, we came to the conclusion that this invisible being, to whom was given the name Spirit, was none other than the soul of an individual who used to be alive corporeally, and that death had freed his soul from his coarse visible envelope, leaving it with only one ethereal, one that is invisible in its normal state. In this then, the extraordinary and supernatural are reduced to the most simple explanation. A lot of people that come to the Spiritism and to mediumship studies is because they are surprised with phenomena, with things they think is not natural, supernatural things. And when they start to realize that it's not, That's normal. That's natural. There's no magic behind anything like that. Some people simply decide to go away. Because sometimes that curiosity is only about what you can see, the phenomena itself. The curiosity is not about what is behind that, the knowledge, the responsibility, the things that we have to do in order to be able to produce safely communications with the spirits, to work with them, right? So we see a lot of that when they're coming. And there's a lot of people that come to the Spiritist house, institution, if you like, looking for a magic wand. I want to stop to be a medium. No one can do that. I don't want to, it's like someone that starts to read a book, but is so angered to know everything that decide to read the last page of the book. Basically, we'll never understand what the book is, because you have to go through step by step to be able to really follow the process to understand what is there. A lot of people come to us just with questions, but not with the will to really study, to really understand what's going on with them. This is not a complaint at all, but it is a shame that if you do have any sort of mediumship, if you are not prepared to understand yourself, you just want to go to the phenomena and that's it. It's better to understand the mechanism behind, so then you fully appreciate what's going on with you, what's going on with the spirit, and it will be easier to you to handle those situations. The existence of these invisible beings having been proven, it was then shown that they, well, let me stop here. Kardec said the spirits have been proven. It's proven to me. I have no doubt at all. I bet it was the same for him, for many others. But there's a lot of people that will not believe. By the way, there are people nowadays still advocating that the earth is flat. So what can we say, you know? As we spoke in the beginning today, we cannot convince anyone about anything. It was then shown that the action upon matter results from the nature of the fluidic envelope. This fluidic envelope is what we call perispirit. I don't want to go deeper into this subject because it's not our goal here, but there's a lot of things we could learn about this subject, and that will help us understanding better mediumship. Hi, Christine.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. I just wanted to say that last night I had a conversation with my son, and I was starting to talk about Kardec, and I could tell that it was just something that he's not aware of, but where he's coming from is he talks about ghosts, and he's started to do some research into that, and I've tried to convince him that he needs to go further back, that it's more than just what might be heard or someone feels, a touch, the hair raised on the back of their neck, that there's scientific meaning, but I just couldn't convince him at that point to understand that there is science behind what he's now trying to discover him for himself.
Christine, nowadays we have something that's very, very powerful, the internet. We can find a lot of good information, but we can find a lot of things that I will not describe here, okay? I would ask first what he's trying to find. Because if he's trying to find a Harry Potter tale, there are lots on the internet. If he's trying to find something deeper, more serious, that will bring knowledge, then it's a different way to do it. It depends on what a person's trying to, you know, and there's a lot of things that we see through the internet. And I saw like one yesterday, someone offering their service, their mediumship service to fix a marriage, to make you rich, to expel ghosts from your house and things like that. I respect the way he sees, but things that I was exposed show me that doesn't work like that. So back to your son, I would say, what is he trying to find? Remember that you will not convince him of anything. And I will tell you something that has happened to me. I have a friend that did not believe in spirits, did not want to be a spiritist. But one day he started to make questions. I said, what do you want to hear? Because you don't believe. You don't want to believe. So why are you making questions? And he said, because I'm trying to find science behind this. So brilliant. If you try to find science, I brought the next day to my work 3 different books, and I gave to him. Start here, if that's what you're looking. Make notes of every question you may have, and I will do my best to answer. Today, he's a spiritist, but he wanted to find information in the first place. I was not giving any information to him because I want him to be A, B, or C. So ask him what he wants. If he just wants, like I said, a Harry Potter tale, so be it. But if you want something more serious that will push him to analyze things in the tales, then I would say Spiritism is the way to go. We have 2 hands raised. I will start, I think it was Liz, the first one. But hi, Liz.
Hello. I just wanted to express a comment around this, because obviously so many people are still in the fantastical and supernatural page when it comes to mediumship and all of that. But the word ghost is something that bothers me so much nowadays, because I do feel that is a way to, not that people would do it intentionally, but the word ghost, it kind of denaturalize and dehumanize the whole thing. And when we say that, you know, our spirits, it puts closer to who we are really. And we see all these programs, which I find really appalling. And sometimes you stop a little bit to see what they're up to. And it is always something very frightening. They always want to put things out there as something very frightening. And as we've been studying here, when people actually find a little bit more information based on science, as we are doing here, and we actually comes to the conclusion that is something so natural, it kind of make, maybe some people will be very disappointed because there's nothing else apart from what is natural.
Well, Liz, I hear what you're saying, you know, but many years back, I decided not to bother with names, what people think. I decided to stick to what I know, based in studies and practice. And if somebody wants to call ghost, I'm a ghost, if they like. If somebody wants to call me spirit, I'm a spirit. It doesn't bother me anymore, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like words. Some people are really fighting to change words, even in the Spiritism. But if you go on the Kardec original books in French, they are there. If we go in some translations more made like 100 years ago, yeah, they are there. But now we don't want to use those words anymore because of the way I see things. So I decided not to bother with that anymore. I know what it is. And this is part of our life. How many things we used to say when we were young, and now we are more like afraid about even to use those words because people think that's not nice, you know? So likewise with the ghost, don't bother with that, you know? You know what you know. You have the practice, you know what the spirit is. Eventually everyone will realize that. I have one hand from Lenovo, is marked tab M8. So I don't think your name is like that, but please go ahead.
Hiya, it's me. It's Faye.
Hi, Faye.
Sorry. Well, yeah, I just wanted to add to what you were saying, that we've got to be aware, especially now, if when the Spiritism is being learned in everywhere in the world, that we've got to respect the languages as they are. You know, we learn the concepts, we know the concept, that each language has its approach to life and spirituality, and they all have their own denomination. So we can't expect to get it, to delve into culture like that so much. People will naturally, as you say, Guilherme, substitute words, adopt new words, adopt a new vocabulary according to their understanding. Yeah, but don't worry too much about the vocabulary that cultures have been using, because they're just learning and they will adapt in time if they want.
I agree with that, Faye, and but there's also a risk, right? There is a risk. Sometimes because I want to change that word, I change also the meaning of the sentence. I also change the meaning of what is there in the origin. And that is a risk.
Yes, that's
There is
it.
a risk. We need to be careful with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I have another hand. Hi, Chris. Go on.
Sorry, hi. I just want to say that being in Australia, and I'm not sure if there's any other Australians in the audience, but I think I might have said this before, but Australians are well behind other countries when it comes to spiritism and understanding about it. And that's why I think the words ghost, the dead, thinking about things that seem unnatural are used, because essentially we're not as advanced, we're quite ignorant when it comes to spiritism. And I apologise to anybody who is offended by that, but that's how I feel, that there's not a lot of Australians that I've come across that use the word spiritism. They use the words medium or mediumship, and they think that, as we've discussed, that they know how to get rid of bad spirits or talk to someone who's passed over, but they don't fully understand what it means to be a spiritist, which is what I'm starting to understand.
Christine, that's very normal. And if anybody says to you, yeah, there's a ghost or there's something, what is a ghost? Is it doing anything that needs to have an intelligence behind it? So that's fine. As far as the person understands the concept that a ghost is something that has an intelligence behind, that can help or can create harm, it's fine. And that's a process, even in some other countries where we also have Spiritism well settled. There's a lot of people think like that as well. It's nothing, I don't see that as something particular from Australia or any other country. No, not at all. Even in my hometown, if you like, some people think that I'm talking to ghosts. So be it. I am talking to ghosts, but I know what they are. And I will tell you a secret. When you die, you will become one. If you want to be called ghost, spirit, or anything else, it's your choice. But what you are will be exactly the same. Doesn't matter the way you call yourself or the way someone will call you. All right? Let me continue here a little bit. This action is intelligent since upon dying, they lose only their body and retain the intelligence that comprises their true essence. I'll stop here a little bit because sometimes people think, well, when we die, we'll change. Not at all. When you die, you remain who you are. If you are a good person, you remain a good person. If you are not, you remain what you are, you know? And what you think, what you feel, who you love, who you hate, remains with you. Is the only difference is you leaving behind your physical body. That's all. This is the key to all phenomena erroneously regarded as supernatural. Therefore, I'm going to talk about supernatural here. We see quite often in America, like they have TV shows showing supernatural things, people recording, they go into haunted houses, recording, trying to see things, and yeah, that's fine. Instead of trying to record something that you will not, unless you have a specific preparation. And that means you also need a medium to be able to record it, otherwise you will not. What do you gain from it? You're making money, really, isn't it? If there's a show on TV, you're making money of it. But you're not learning anything from it. You're not improving your morale. You're not improving what you know. You're not improving what you are. On the Spiritism, on the other hand, what we're trying is not to give emphasis on the phenomena, is to give you knowledge so you can improve yourself morally, spiritually, and understand what's going on. Because things, for example, that you were really, really scared because it's a ghost, because it's poltergeist or whatever. When you start to understand how it works, you don't fear anymore. I'll tell you a secret. As my wife is not here, she will not complain. But when she started to develop her mediumship, I had to go to my bed and leave the lights on for years because she was really, really afraid about spirits. Nowadays, after a learning curve, after studying, after the practice, I can sleep normally again. But in the beginning, she was so afraid about spirits. She could see, she could feel, but she was really afraid. So how we can change that? The only way I know is study and with the practice. I'm glad she's not listening to me. Therefore, the existence of spirits does not result from a preconceived theory or hypothesis dreamed up to explain the facts, but instead, it is the result of observation and the natural consequence of the existence of the soul. So here we have two things. We all agree that here inside is no void. There's something that is driving us to talk, to eat, there's something inside our body that Kardec used the word soul that is driving everything we do, right? I think we don't need to argue about that anymore. There's something there. If you are one of the persons that do not believe there is a soul inside you, means you believe that everything you are is a result of a chemical reaction. Simple as that. A chemical reaction is basically repeat itself many times. So the chemical reaction inside me should be repeating inside you all. And if that is true, why we like different things? Why we do things in a different way? So even the logic tells me that cannot be only a chemical reaction. But the materialist people, they believe it's chemical. And I'm not here to argue. The problem really, no. I think we move a step ahead and we try to see things in a different way. But now I believe we all agree that we have a soul, and we now understand that our soul is our spirit incarnated, right? So then he's telling here that spirit does not look for frequency. Spirit, the spirit is not a theory, cannot be a theory if you had the exposure. I had the exposure. I had the exposure more than once a week. Am I crazy? Or there is something there? I don't believe I'm crazy because I have a profession, I have a family, I've never been to a hospice. So there is something there. I may not understand fully, but there is something there, right? And there is one other thing that Kardec says here, is that results of observation. Any science is a result of observation. Any science. Today, we have the instruments that we use to observe things. In the past, 300 years ago, we had no instruments, and today we have. But the root cause for any science is the ability to observe, right? So that's why we say Spiritism is also a science, because we observe. To deny this cause is to deny the soul and its attribute. And I think we passed that. Those who think that they can find a more rational solution for such intelligent effects, and especially that they can explain away all the facts, let them do so. Then we can discuss the merits of both sides of the matter. If we want to have a conversation, an argument about what it is or what is not, we always have to listen both sides. To say that something exists or not exists, you need to study, you need to evaluate, so you can come up with your own perception, your own truth. But say that something does not exist and not willing to analyze in depth what the other people are saying, you may be missing an opportunity to learn something and to really validate what you know. To those who regarded matter as the sole power of nature, anything that cannot be explained by the laws of matter is extraordinary or supernatural. And for them, the extraordinary is synonymous with superstition. That's very true even today, isn't it? Anything that I don't understand is supernatural, or because I'm human, I'm trying to connect that with a kind of superstition. But remember that on Earth, we all, well, not the universe, we all follow the same laws, the universal laws. If something happens to us or around us, it's the result of a natural law. Supernatural is something that I'm telling me that I don't understand, I don't know where to find information, and I'm afraid of it. Because when we normally give a name like that, supernatural means that I'm really afraid about it, and I cannot justify, I cannot understand. But everything on universe follow the same law. This week, I was listening to an article because it was on the computer. And scientists says that NASA was able to identify 5 billion planets. They identify way more than that, but they come to a level of 5 billion planets where possibly could have life. Do you believe there is life away from Earth? If you do, great. If you don't, great as well. But then we have to think. All this thing that we can see nowadays through satellites to telescopes, they are only there just to please our eyes. It doesn't make sense, isn't it? But we will not fight with anyone that don't believe otherwise. But we should consider the possibilities. And I'm assuming that now you all believe that you have a soul and you are in spirit. That make things easier to analyze more things to come. Thus, religion is founded on existence of an immaterial principle, would be the fabric of superstition. They dare not to say this out loud, but they mutter it under their breath, and they think they can keep up appearances by claiming that religion is necessary for people and for children in order to make them wise. I think religion, in the sense of the word religion, is positive, because the origin of the word religion is religare, that means connect. And the human beings, they need to connect. People that decide to live in the middle of the desert, not having contact with anyone for their whole life, they are wasting their incarnation. And that's why we have families, that's why we have friends. We need to connect. Hence, we are faced with 2 choices. Either the religious principle is true or is false. If it's true, it is true for everybody. If it's false, it is no more beneficial for uneducated than for an enlightened person. What I like in the Spiritism is that flexibility that the Spiritism gives to me to allow me to come up to my own perception of things, to evaluate everything that is there and make my own choices. Because if anyone tells you that Spiritism tells you not to do it, Spiritism forbids you to do A, B, or C, this person is lying. Spiritism does not force you to do anything. It will give you information to make your own choices. Sometimes the Spiritism will tell you what could be the consequences of your choice, but will not tell you to go left or right. That's down to you. Those who attack Spiritism by calling it extraordinary usually find support in the materialist principle, and thus, in denying every effect of an extra-material origin, they necessarily deny the existence of soul. We spoke about that here today already, right? So I'm not going to comment here. However, probe the depth of their thought and scrutinize the meaning of their words, and you will almost always find the principle which, even if not categorically formulated, nonetheless shines through under the guise of the rational philosophical pretense behind which they hide it. Therefore, by rejecting an extraordinary everything that results from the existence of the soul, they are at least being self-consistent. Since they do not admit the cause, they cannot admit the effect. Hence, the prejudice that keeps them from judging Spiritism soundly, because they start from the principle of denying everything that's not material. what we just read here, basically what I think is important to retain is that if you don't believe, that's fine. But you cannot tell me that what I believe does not exist unless you prove otherwise. And the materialists, they could not prove anything. Hi, Christine.
Hi, I was just on that paragraph. It just takes me back, and excuse if I say the wrong words, but when I was watching the movie Kardec, one of the sentences he used was very profound, was basically on the premise that those that don't believe, those that sit in judgment, like the Catholicism, are those that don't follow the process of doubting, investigating, or thinking, and then knowing. So basically the scientific method of anything that you do, you might doubt it in the first instance. Mm-hmm. Then you think about it, find out the facts, and then you know. And to me, that paragraph there sums up that in what I saw in the Kardec movie.
Yeah. That's brilliant. As I said here, the first time we had our encounter, I said, do not trust in everything I say. Actually, do not trust in anything I say. Because I prefer that you come to your own conclusions. I prefer that you do your research. And hopefully, you come to the same conclusion as me. But if I don't, I may be able to learn something with you. And doubt is always positive. Doubt should be there always. Like I used to say, we in the Spiritist movement, we should ask more, because there's a lot of people just saying yes, sir, instead of asking, instead of trying to understand something that they did not. And Christine, you remind me something that someone asked last week. I don't remember the name of who was anymore. So many things I received, but someone asked if I'm not an ostensive medium, if I can suffer from an obsession problem, obsession influence. I'm just answering that now here, so otherwise I will forget later, and that's related to mediumship. Okay. The answer, the short answer is yes. Even the person that is not an ostensive medium, is possible that she or he will suffer an obsession. How is that possible? And then I'll give you an example, because we're going to talk about obsession down the book anyway. We all work, right? Or at least, let's pretend that we all have a work, and we have our colleagues that we like, and we have our colleagues that we do not like. And that colleague that we do not like does everything in his power to make my life at work more miserable. This is an obsession. I can tell that's a kind of obsession, right? If it does happen to us, incarnated, between incarnated spirits, it can also happen between a discarnated and incarnated spirit. And you don't need to be a medium, ostensive medium, to suffer that kind of thing I just said. It happens because we are humans, because we are spirits. So I'm not going to go deep in that. I just want to give some answer. But yeah, that's possible. Okay. I don't remember who asked me anymore. Sorry. But as for us, just because we claim that the effects result from the existence of soul, must we therefore accept all the facts that are deemed to be extraordinary? A lot of people, when they come closer to the Spiritism teachings, they start to see spirits everywhere, kind of not visually see, but they start to think that everything that happens is because there is a spirit behind. And to be safe, what I always say to everyone is that we have to eliminate every other possibility before we consider that a spirit could be behind something. Why I'm saying that? Oh, I feel like cold wind coming in my house when I'm sitting in that place every day. Yeah, because you leave the window open in the other room, and then the air comes faster because it creates a venturi. So there's nothing related to a spirit. But if you close that window in the other room, that will stop. So what I'm saying is we have to eliminate every possibility before we consider something related to spirits. Okay? Ah, MUNIR, you there? I didn't see you. How are you doing?
Hello, Guilherme. Hi, everyone. Fine, thanks. Guilherme, what I was going to say is that sometimes it's lack of coherence that we show, whatever our starting point. Because if I say I'm materialist, and then I don't believe in anything that is spiritual, when I'm faced with a phenomenon that my materialistic point of view can't explain, I should be open to change my starting points and then try to explain that. That's what scientists, serious scientists do. Well, my theory is not enough to explain this new sort of phenomena. So what shall I do? Well, rethink it. Then you start from different premises and then you move and try to explain. And then if you say, okay, spiritists, we believe in spirits. So from that starting point, we start to analyze. But also, as it's been said here, we can't just see spirits everywhere doing everything all the time. And whatever we don't have an explanation, as you said, oh, it's because of the spirits. Oh, the spirits are doing that. Oh, there's a meaning behind this. Meaning. No, we have to be very scientific in this sense. Well, could it be? Yes, it could. But are you sure? No. So let's investigate. Exactly what Kardec did with the turning tables. Well, I don't believe in spirits, but what I'm saying, my materialistic point of view doesn't explain. So let's start from the point that, yes, spirits do exist. So what? Can I explain? And that's what he did. And all the time he's insisting that use scientific methodology. That means if you don't have an explanation, try to prove with the theory that you have, the starting point that you have, you accept. If it doesn't explain, you change it. Change and say, okay, now I assume that, yes, spirits do exist. Can I explain? Can I build a theory to explain what? Yes, I can. Perfect. That's how science moves. You're constantly changing the theory that is trying to explain what we are seeing. But to deny a phenomenon because we don't like, oh no, I don't want to know about, survival, spirit, life after death. So I'm seeing a materialization in front of me and I deny that because I don't like it, This is prejudice. There isn't another word for me, but prejudice in this case, preconceived ideas that you don't want to go, don't want to let them go, and even your reason, you just, forget it.
I think I will, sorry, tell a small joke, a short joke, okay? There was a mediumship meeting. Everybody was sitting there in the penumbra, okay, media luz, not too much light. And everyone was with eyes closed. And the medium was saying, I am feeling my mentor here. my mentor, he touched my head. Oh, it's so soft the way that he's touching my head. But later on, they discovered that it was a spider that came from the ceiling and it was in her head. So as you said before, we can't claim that everything comes from the spirits, but sometimes comes from the spider. That's it.
Very nice. And we have Charles with us. Welcome, Charles.
Hello. Yes, sorry for the delay in joining. Yes, what basically Kardec is doing here is explaining the dogmatic approach of a lot of scientists, which is this dogma of materialism, because they never proved that the spirit or the soul does not exist, never. And then they invent some drawers, you know, some big drawers like extraordinary or supernatural. They open the drawer and put all the things that they don't like in it and just forget them. So this is, as Munir exactly said right now, all but a scientific approach. And there are now more and more initiatives like the Manifesto for a Post-Materialist Science. So you can search it on internet. And you will see that more and more scientists are now telling, okay, we should go out of this dogma. We cannot do what we are criticizing from the religions. The religions have dogma, but the science has also dogma on the opposite way, you know, the anti-religious dogma, it can be said like this. And this is exactly what Kardec is here fighting against, because again, the biggest enemy, I would not say even of Spiritism, because it's a case, of course, but the biggest enemy of the evolution of the world is materialism, clearly. And this is what we have to fight against. And here, Kardec brings you a kind of a toolkit of arguments that we can use when people come with such discussion like supernatural, which does not exist, and extraordinary, okay, to fight against. Without violence, of course, it has to be with arguments.
Very good indeed. So let's just finish that sentence here for today. Must we be champions of all dreamers, of adepts of all sort of utopias and eccentric theories? One would have to know very little about Spiritism to think so. However, this does not concern our adversaries, since the requirement that they must understand what they are talking about is of little interest to them. So I will stop here for today, and this time I will save. And
so we Spiritists, we believe in spiders.
Yeah, that's true. That's
before the
true.
spirits.
That's very true. And it is important that we always keep in mind that we have to analyze everything. We have to consider every possibility. We have to be safe. And how can we be safe in the Spiritism? Always study, using the common sense, asking people that know a bit more than we do, because sometimes they have other experiences, and that allows everyone to grow up together. Before we do our final prayer, let me share with you something that I think is pretty interesting. And for some reason it's gone. Let me just adapt here my screen to see why it's gone. Because it's here. No, it's not here. So let me share with you. Yes, it's here. So let me share with you now some events that we will have very soon. Let me just, yeah, I see a hand raised. Feel free to.
This evening.
Yep. This evening, we have the Spiritist, the European Spiritist Gathering is happening every month. Tonight, we're going to have Karen Dietrich and Ingo Meyer, wonderful speakers, bringing to us always a very important topic. So I would recommend, if you have a chance, to participate. We also have the World Spiritist Month. I'll speak a little bit about that because I'm going to show you my homepage here. So I'll tell you more in the sequence. And we have the Second International Spiritist Youth, right? It's a great opportunity to our young kids, to our teenagers, to join. It is a way to share the experiences, it's a way to learn with others. So if you do have that possibility, join us. And let me try to share with you guys here what I think is very nice. Yep. I hope you now can see my tab here. And this is the first World Spiritist Month. It is a great opportunity because actually the homepage is very professional and you will have 36 countries, 120 speakers, 4 different languages, videos, and starting 1st of April. If you do have an opportunity, try to log on. The homepage is there. I will share with you on the group. It's there already, but I can share again. It's a great opportunity to think outside the box. It's a great opportunity to allow us to think about something we never thought before. And 36 countries, there are people from all over the world bringing their best to help us in our way forward. So now, I will ask Munir to do our